on, guys and gals? I am filming on top of my toilet. My toilet glass. We're here in fabulous Vegas. There's Squishy Frog on the dog's toilet glass. As you see, he seems to have made a home there. Dog's in the background here. He's coming over.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
We are in Vegas still.
Well, I'm not really a guest in this show, but I thought I'd make an appearance and say, hey, what's up, and thank you for watching.
Yes, he's gonna go actually buy booze.
Yeah, we're gonna do a couple brew reviews right after this, but they're all gonna be in different months because we're like way ahead. But anyway, see you guys later.
Stay up. Yeah. Okay, so
I got my card.
I hope you do. Just knock on the door. I'll ignore you.
Let's see if the shit smell cleared out. Oh man, I'm good. It's really bad.
You turn the light off.
Oops. Sorry about that.
I apologize.
Technical difficulties.
We are not scripted, as you can tell.
Yeah, and we're on the road at that. Okay,
Yeah.
see you guys later.
My partner in crime. Anyway, I figured this episode of WTF, we'll do like almost like a Vegas montage. There's been a lot of wrestling involved in Vegas. I'll just go through some brief things. Well, as some of the old school fans might know, Kevin Nash, one of his first very doomed gimmicks was when he was Vinny Vegas. Originally, he came to WCW as Oz. And yes, I mean Oz. Like Emerald City, great and powerful Oz. Pardon me. And here's a guy that was like, what, almost 7 feet tall, 300 pounds. He was dressing up like an emerald idiot. It didn't work. Did not work at all. So he came back as a 7-foot, 300-pound card shark by the name of Vinny Vegas. And it didn't work. It didn't work at all. So then, of course, he left to become Diesel and then Kevin Nash and became big, huge, and famous. That's one of the things. Another thing about Vegas was Raw. Monday Night Raw. They do it once in a while, and I hate it. I don't know why I hate it either, but I'll explain. They do what's called Raw Roulette. And what that is, you put a series of matches on this wheel, like a roulette wheel. And you would spin the wheel, and whatever landed would be your match for that night. So, let's say, I guess right now in wrestling, it's Bryan Danielson and Randy Orton feuding. And by the way, I'm just going to stop everybody right now if they're even bothering to ask. I get so many people asking me, who's Bryan Danielson? That's Daniel Bryan. That's his name. That is his real name. I refuse to call him Daniel Bryan. He's Bryan Danielson. He's always been Bryan Danielson. In the indie leagues, he was the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And the only reason why they made him change his name is not because of legal issues. It's because Vince McMahon wants to mold and shape and create his own people. I have nothing against that, but I'm not going to call him Daniel Bryan. It's Bryan Danielson. That's who he is. Off that tangent right there. So, let's say Bryan Danielson and Randy Orton, they're still feuding. So, they spin this wheel, and suddenly it comes up as, let's say, a TLC match. Then we go out and have a TLC match. I have no problem with that. The problem is, they put so many stupid, useless, ridiculous, fucked up matches on this wheel. Okay, WCW used to do this. I don't know if they created it, but they kind of brought it into almost the mainstream style, as far as I know. I remember them doing this. But they had what was called spin the wheel, make the deal. Same concept. They would put a bunch of gimmick matches on this wheel. You would spin the wheel. That would be your match. But they had, cage matches, street fights, submission matches. Sting and Jake Roberts had what was called a coal miner's glove match, where they just hung this coal miner's glove on a pole, and like a coal miner's glove is like there's metal inside of it. So like you're cracking coal, you're not breaking your hands. So whoever grabbed this glove could put it on their glove and beat the shit out of somebody with it. So that one I didn't mind. But when Vince McMahon got a hold of it, we started getting, oh Jesus, what were some of the dumbass matches? They weren't even matches. They had a body slam challenge between Edge and Matt Sydal. If you don't know who Matt Sydal is, that's Evan Bourne. If you don't know who Evan Bourne is, you're not the only one, because he hasn't been around for a long time. They probably future endeavored his ass, which is sad. But, okay, think about it. Edge is 270 pounds maybe. Evan Bourne, Matt Sydal, about 210. I am not a power lifter. I am not in shape, as you can plainly see. So I'm not saying I could do that. I could not body slam somebody. I am saying that this is a stupid match to put on a wheel where Vince McMahon has kind of purged all the heavyweights. You don't see many super heavyweights out there, because Vince McMahon went through this big exodus of the overweight, unhealthy wrestlers. If you look back to the 80s, they had, like, me and guys talk about this all the time, they had fat, beer-bellied fucking brawlers, from the South, who just looked like they would fight they just beat the shit out of you every single time. You would see them in a bar somewhere. They'd be eating pretzels, they'd be drinking their beer. You play a game of pool with them, they crack you over the head with a stick when they lost. That was the kind of people in the 80s. But then Vince McMahon started getting into bodybuilding, and he started getting into like fitness. And suddenly, all his wrestlers had to look that way. So, all the overweight guys, they were shipped out, never to be heard from again unless you were in the Indies. So really, the only super heavyweight I would say that they have is Big Show. So, you have a body slam challenge on a wheel that two skinny dudes won. Really? And that's not the stupidest one. I think they had like, what were some of the other? This was like 2-3 years ago, but they had a song and dance contest. I think it was like Truth, Ron Killings, and I want to say Eve Torres against Ted DiBiase and Maryse. If you don't know who Maryse is, you missed out. She was actually kind of cool. But, we can't have a wrestling match. God, no. We can't have Ron Killings, a great wrestler, by the way, and Ted DiBiase, another great wrestler, second generation, actually third generation. We can't have these guys wrestling in a wrestling match on a wrestling show. The nerve! Like, the absolute audacity to think that We could have wrestling on our wrestling show? You just take that idea, sir, and you put it in your toilet, just like this. No, people don't want to see that. They want to see a song and dance contest. What was another? They had a trading places match between Lord Steven Regal. I refuse to call him William Regal. Lord Steven Regal and Goldust, where Regal came out dressed as Goldust. Goldust came dressed out as Regal. I was so ready to just chuck a bottle at the TV when I saw that. That shit was stupid. And I've seen stupid shit. But Raw Roulette. Ugh, god damn. Whenever Raw is coming to Vegas, expect the Raw Roulette. And expect to watch now 3 hours of some of the stupidest television you'll ever see in your life. But I endure. Probably what Vegas is best known for, at least with the WWF, if I'm going WWF. They've had other events around here. But probably one of the better known ones was WrestleMania 9. And WrestleMania 9 was held in Caesar's Palace, right here in Vegas. It was, I believe, the first outdoor WrestleMania. In that they just, I don't know exactly where in Caesar's Palace they had it, but they cleared out this area. They set up bleachers and stands. I think it was where they would have like your championship fights or whatever. And they had an outdoor WrestleMania. And this was back in 93. I want to say 93. And this was one of the more lackluster WrestleManias. And I'm not going to go all into it, but some of the matches were actually really good. Again, I'm going completely off my memory. Well, the first thing is everybody that was at WrestleMania 9, commentators, ring announcers, anybody, they were all wearing togas. And if you thought seeing Jim Ross in a toga would be funny, you'd be wrong. In fact, that was Jim Ross's very first job with the WWF. In fact, when he turned heel the first time, he actually brought that up. It's like, it's your first day on the job, Jim. Here's a toga and a pair of sandals. Go report. He actually did commentary the entire night. And that was like the beginning of Jim Ross's commentary. And again, nobody touches that man in commentary. Like Macho Man was down there too, and then Bobby Heenan rode in backwards on a camel. Funny stuff. But like I said, some of the matches were really, really good. The very first match was Tatanka, the Native American, against Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title. Great match. Great match to start off. Again, Tatanka was over enough to be champion, to be an Intercontinental champion at least. They never gave him the belt. I don't understand it. You know, he had enough people behind him that you probably could put a belt on him and he could have carried it. But I don't know why. They had the Steiner brothers before Rick Steiner became what he is now, against the Head Shrinkers, Samu and Fatu. We actually saw Head Shrinker Samu in Newville during the House of Pain era, when the NWL, the National Wrestling League, and the House of Pain would come up to Newville, my hometown, very small town, and they would have wrestling matches. And Samu was one of the bigger names there. trying to think. They had Crush, Brian Adams, not that Brian Adams, but Brian Adams against Doink. If you don't know who Doink is, feel fortunate. Doink was a clown. And I mean that literally. He dressed as a clown and wrestled. I'm not a fan of clowns. I'll admit it. But the guy that portrayed Doink, Matt Bourne, actually, when he left there, he kind of pioneered the character into something way better than what it was. Because when he first started being Doink, he was like an evil clown. And they kind of like build up on that. That people have this real deep-seated hatred for clowns, and he kind of used that because he was an evil son of a bitch. I think even Mick Foley had talked about Matt Bourne when he was getting tips on how to be a better heel. And Matt Bourne would say, like, as a heel, when you, like, rake somebody's eyes, like, you would just grab their faces, stick your fingers into their eyes, and just rake their eyes. He says, like, you don't want to do that because you have to. You want to do that because you want to. And that's some sick shit right there. And that's why it worked. That's why the character worked so well. Because he was an evil bastard. And I do have to mention the ending of the match, because Doink was getting beat the shit out of by Brian Adams, Crush. And Crush has him down. The referee gets knocked out, naturally. And Crush, his finisher, where he would take his hands and, like, push them into your temples. So his palms would be into your temples, and he would just compress your skull. And he was a pretty powerful dude, so it probably hurt like hell. But as he's doing this to Doink, another Doink comes out from underneath the ring and hits Crush with this like fake prosthetic arm. And like Crush is dead. He's dead. And Doink and the other Doink, like, suddenly are face to face, and they look at each other and they're like, what? Huh? Who? What? Huh? Huh? Like that. And of course, the second Doink has, like, his face is completely painted. Like, he has... But Bobby Heenan, God bless this man. I love Bobby Heenan. The commentators nowadays can learn something from Bobby fucking Brain Heenan. Because he sold that like it was the greatest magic trick he had ever seen. He's like, how does he do it? That's the world's greatest illusion! Like, there was two Doinks! Like, it was an illusion! Like, Jim Ross and Randy Savage are like, Bobby, there was obviously two guys there. He's like, no, it was an illusion! The other Doink slid under the ring. Doink won the match, but another referee ran down and said, like, no, there was two of them. And he ran under the ring, and I'll show you. And he lifts up the ring, and he's looking under. He's like, well, where the fuck is he? Where the fuck is this other Doink? And the other referee's looking at him like, dude, there's nobody down there. It's like, so again, Bobby Heenan's like, see? You see? It was an illusion. There's not two Doinks. It's an illusion. That man's David Copperfield. I love Bobby. That's one of my biggest problems with wrestling nowadays. Is they have 3 people on Raw now. You have Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, and Bradshaw. JBL. Who the hell thought we needed him back? But the three of them, every single time they open their mouths, I change the channel. I fight the urge to change that channel because the three of them, they cannot carry a show at all. You know, one of the big reasons Raw went down the hill so quick was when Jim Ross left. When he got hit with his Bell's palsy again, and he had no choice but to retire from... He comes back once in a while, but he doesn't do commentary every day. But, you know, ever since he left the broadcast booth, Raw has just been a snore. I'm sorry. Michael Cole, I don't know what the fuck he's trying to do. There was a time where he was the heel and Jerry Lawler was the good guy. And right there, that should have been a sign that these two need to leave. You know, Jerry Lawler, I don't care about anymore. He's not the Jerry Lawler that we remember. Because, okay, I know I'm going on a tangent. I apologize. But I'll talk about this in depth later. But always in wrestling, you have a good guy and a bad guy. Just like wrestling. The good guy is supposed to side with the good guy in the ring, but not brag about it. You know, like he follows the rules. He like the bad guy, he breaks the rules, but the good guy, he follows the rules. You know, but I call it down the middle. But the heel commentator, the color commentator, he always has to see it from the other side. You know, that's why Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan were such a great team. Gorilla and Jesse Ventura, great team. Because, you know, Jesse Ventura, he would be the heel guy. He would say, like, you know, he raked the guy's eyes, but hey, referee didn't see it. You know, oh well. You know, even Gorilla Monsoon had admitted, like, yeah, you're right, Jess, he didn't see it. They would get into arguments, you know, like, you know, the good guy would cheat to win. Jesse Ventura's like, where's the referee on that one? Like, this referee's fucking biased. And Gorilla's like, no, he's not biased. He didn't see it. Like, if the other guy did it, you'd be applauding him. Like, I would not do such a thing. Like, I believe in honor and justice. You know, I'll get into that more. Because I do have a lot to say about the commentators in wrestling. But back to WrestleMania 9. What were some of the other matches? I think Razor Ramon against Bob Backlund, that sucked. Not even worth mentioning, really. They had Ted DiBiase and Mike Rotundo, Erwin R. Shyster, wrestling Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake. Like, they were a tag team now. The Mega Maniacs, they call it. This was Hulk Hogan's big return to wrestling. But he was nowhere near what he used to be. They had Mr. Perfect against Lex Luger. That was an okay match. Again, Perfect was not anywhere near what he used to be. He was still a fantastic wrestler, but he just kept jobbing everybody. And that's not what Mr. Perfect does. He wins because he's perfect. They had The Undertaker against the Giant Gonzalez. If you don't know who that is, it was a guy named, I think, in WCW he was called El Gigante. I think his name was George something. I don't know, but he was like an 8-foot tall dude. Like, Undertaker's 6'10". This guy towered above him. He was tall. Couldn't wrestle worth a shit. But again, this was around the time where the Undertaker, they didn't really know what to do with him. So they just put him in the ring with all these big, tall, big, fat sons of bitches and expect him to carry him through a good match. And it was really kind of a low time for the Undertaker. The main event was Bret Hart, who was the champion at the time, against Yokozuna, the big sumo wrestler, like 568 pounds of fucking beef. And this was actually a really good match because, again, you have Bret Hart, great wrestler. Yokozuna, as big as he was still a great wrestler. And, of course, the odds were clearly on Yokozuna's side because He's 568 pounds. He'll just crush Bret Hart. But Bret actually like took the fight to him for the longest time. And it actually looked like Bret might win. Until Mr. Fuji, that sinister Japanese, he throws salt in the eyes of Bret Hart, blinds him, and Yokozuna pins him. But then out comes Hulk Hogan. You know, because as we know, Hulk Hogan is the symbol of truth and justice, and his word is his bond. And I ran out of Jesus analogies. I'm sorry. But anyway, Mr. Fuji gets on the microphone. He's like, Hogan, my Yokozuna challenge you to a wrestling match. I'm not being offensive. That's how he actually talked. He's like, my Yokozuna challenge you to a wrestling match. You accept, you chicken. And Hogan's like, well, brother, you challenge me, brother. Brother, I'm Hulk Hogan. Brother, I'm Hulk Hogan. And Bret's like, he's got his hands over his eyes and he's starting to do this. Like, and apparently that was Hogan's way of saying, all right, brother, I'm getting in there. You know, kayfabe time. You know, how do we know Bret Hart was waving him in there? And for that matter, how did Bret Hart get the authority to make that match? You know, like he's the former champion. Shouldn't he get the title shot? I don't know. But anyway, Hogan gets in there. Fuji throws more salt at him. He ducks. He hits Yokozuna. Hogan knocks him down, pins him. New world champion. Bullshit. Bullshit. So yeah, as far as a pay-per-view went, it was okay. This was around the time when WrestleManias kind of started falling down in quality. It took a long time for them to pick back up. You know, I'll probably do like a whole retrospective of WrestleMania. I don't know what I'm going to do. But, I'm trying to think. Anything else from Vegas that wrestling has done? I think WCW may have done a few shows out here to varying lengths of success. But really, I mean, you can't bet on wrestling. I guess you could. I don't know why you would. Because all you gotta do is read the internet rumors, and there you go. You've already got that bet covered. So that was my WTF for just random shit that happened in Vegas. That'll probably be the title of the video. I don't know what I'll do next. You know what? From now on, I'm not gonna say that anymore. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I don't know. I'm just gonna close it because I'm an idiot. But thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you for enduring this because I'm in Vegas and you're not. Sorry. And Squishy Frog has his toilet that he proudly sits on. You probably won't see this for a while until I get back, so it's been a fun trip. It really has. So thanks for watching. I gotta get something to drink, beer. While I've been doing a lot of drinking. I'm on a 2-week vacation with dog. That's any reason for any man to drink. So I'll see you later, guys. Thanks for watching.